Don't waste your time or your life on this bullshit. These are some dumb motherfuckers, Barthology. Do you know who you're dealing with here? This is a room full of degenerate, dumb motherfuckers. Neuralink network through Nathan and Chili's, and they're the dumbest motherfuckers you'll ever meet. Save yourself.
Big time. 100% correct. 100%. 100% Adrian. Definitely right about that. Can you give us the prophecy, Eric?
So the most religious motherfucker in this room
See how he's not
don't know the prophecy, bro.
You're not doing it.
Don't know.
We got two burners in the audience. This guy's an idiot. He's not going to tell us the prophecy. You're not going to give us the prophecy.
It's like one of those things, bro.
You see what I mean?
It's like if you want to play a game that you don't know and you want me to answer
you asked the
serve
question.
you.
He's already said he's going to use military to
Double agent.
deal with elements he doesn't like in Mexico. So it seems like playing with fire for the Mexican president to try to stand up in this way.
Well, Agent, let me say this real quick. One of the smartest moves I think he did, maybe Marvin will disagree with this, was when he signed that executive order to label the cartels terrorist organizations, which now enables him to use the military. So I don't know if he's going to use the military, but I think the Mexican president needs to take a good look at this.
Oh, he already is. The Marines are already down there right now.
That's crazy. What did you say, Marvin? I didn't hear what Marvin said.
I might have made a mistake. Were you referring to the president of Mexico?
No, what I was saying was, with the executive order that Trump signed to label the cartels as terrorist organizations now empowers him to use the military. And he strikes me as the type of man that would have no problems using the military against the cartels. So I would think that the Mexican president would want to get on board with Trump instead of keep pushing back.
Yeah, I think we should start droning gang members, cartel leaders, etc.
Yeah, look, forget about anything tactical with Mexico. The issue with Mexico is very
You kicked me? Just farted. Okay, this is the Roger Mayhem movie. This is a world premiere. $13 live viewers. Wow, 3 live viewers. We're famous. Oh, Zenimini is here. He's also making a movie. I just got kicked out of Jay Breska's pimp house room with the military intelligence analyst, Marvin the Martian. If you could send in a clone and, come up here and, I don't know, put the link or text me the link or something so I could get the audio again. Because I just need the audio, really. I don't even need the screen per se, but I'm also going to launch a second Roger Mayhem movie. This is Roger Mayhem, the movie 2. Not many people know this, but I am a world famous movie producer, director, and I'm coming out with a second Roger Mayhem movie. I don't care what the critics say. I'm coming out with Roger Mayhem, the movie part 2 right now. Boom, done. That's it. Gaslight the gaslighters. Let's teach the world true meditation. A true de-gaslighting hypnosis. I have to get some work done because I have a guest coming to stay with me. and I have to go clean her unit. She checks in at 11 a.m. supposedly. Let me see if she messaged me. Oh, she probably did. Let's see. Make sure they have up-to-date check-in details. Oh, let's see. Did you text me? No. I do have another burner account. Let me see if I can jump back in there real quick. But I gotta say, Agent Malone busted me. That motherfucker. He called me out. I don't know, and I think it's because he watches my live stream, and then he connected the two.
Believes in the borders anymore, then sure, keep talking about annexing Greenland, which makes no sense at all. It just shows how far into the abyss we have gone. That people are talking about this seriously.
Do you think that he's doing it?
I think people shouldn't put the blame on Trump.
Hold on.
Yes, we're in the abyss.
Mike, do you think that he's doing it to kind of like promote or provoke Putin?
I don't
Promote or provoke? Those are two different things, Martian.
That's smart. You can see his rhetoric on Ukraine is already very fraught and mindless. I have no clue what rattles around in the hollow of Trump's head. But as far as, is this a real serious policy? I mean, this is as nutty and dumb as renaming the Gulf of Mexico. We're in a world that has real problems. We have real issues that we have to confront, and stopping Russia's illegal invasion is one of them. So, yeah, we shouldn't be promoting their propaganda, even their subtle propaganda, and we should be opposing that. And, something this ridiculous should not be considered by serious people.
Thank you, Mike. So I have a question for Marvin.
Edmonds is here, by the way, recording and broadcasting. He's Earth Moon down.
Okay, I don't care what he does. So the question.
Yes.
Guys. So I want to ask this question to the people that have served in the military. What do you think about the secretary?
Double agent, you have fallen. Fallen double agent.
What people forget is that the Secretary of
Edmund is here.
Edmund
is here.
An American non-military member.
He is Earth. He is Moon.
Qualifications for SecDef is you have to be a US
can't
citizen.
stop me, double agent.
I personally am not a fan of Pete. Is it Hesketh?
Double agent is here. Be careful, he'll get you.
But just because I'm not a fan of his persona or his qualifications doesn't mean that he doesn't have the right to be Secretary of Defense. So the fact that it was a split, and the fact that the vote came down to the VP, right? That's the way it goes. It's just like that's how the Constitution or our system functions. And, he has every right to be and is the SecDef. So, God bless and good luck.
But the guy is not qualified. He's a joke.
There's no
our enemies, I'm sure, will be laughing at how incompetent he is.
Agreed, but there is no qualification. The only qualification is U.S. citizen.
Well, I think
his competence might be an issue.
Hold on a second, guys. Let Cam finish. Okay, Cam.
All I was going to say... okay, sorry, guys. All I was going to say, I think when it comes to the idea of qualification, and I'm not a stan of anybody. Like, I don't do this as like a stan, but it does seem to me that what I've noticed is that when people talk about qualifications, because I do believe that he has served, but when it comes to the idea of like qualifications, I actually think Marvin brought up a good point. Actually, I think that people do seem to mix up qualifications with the personality. Because somebody doesn't like the personality of somebody, they're automatically deemed unqualified. Because I don't think that people really necessarily. This isn't necessarily directed at Marvin, but it does seem, I think, that people don't necessarily do due diligence of the research of a candidate that's running for a certain position. Now, I'm not saying I have either, but I do find it really interesting that everybody does seem to say unqualified, and the only thing that people say is, oh, he was a Fox News host, or oh, he hasn't served before. I don't know. I haven't heard of him until the nomination, so I don't know if I would necessarily be making a statement like that without doing my own due diligent research, and how many people aren't doing their research as well. So I just think that people kind of mistake personality and the dislike of someone's personality to qualifications. I think we kind of conflate those two things sometimes, but that's all I wanted to say. Mike, go ahead. You were going to say something. I'm sorry.
That's like a nice Adams.
Well, just the guy doesn't seem very competent. It doesn't seem like he has the temperament to do this job well. Now we'll have to see. I mean, I was no fan of Biden's SecDef, who had all the qualifications on paper, but him teamed with Biden was a very weak team that led to a lot of, military problems around the world. So, I'll give this guy the benefit of the doubt, but from the looks of it, it's quite bad. From the looks of it, it's quite bad. So, we'll see where it goes. But in total, I mean, the totality of Trump's team is just, not very intelligent. And, what's their strategy is going to be in these difficult issues, it's not clear that they have a good strategy on either Ukraine nor even Israel. So, all of these issues with domestic policy, I think they're focusing on the wrong issues. And when it comes to foreign policy, it seems like they want to antagonize our friends. They want to turn the coalition of the willing, the coalition of the people, who support the rules-based order, they want to turn that on its head. So that's going to be bad for Americans long-term, as will closing off immigration.
Thank you, Mike.
So the policies are terrible that will...
I can't listen to him all morning. He has no respect for the space. But you got to let other people talk, bro. Otherwise, it's a fucking echo chamber. So one thing that happened yesterday was Secretary of State Rubio has told the State Department to no longer accept applications for passports unless you check off you're a man or a woman.
Hi, Danny. I love your white hair, Danny. Don't you dare dye your hair. Don't worry about what your owl says. She's an unhappy bitch. Unhappy she bleaches her asshole because she wants to see what it looks like she gets fucked doggy style. She's a piece of trash.
Waking up, man. Listening.
Don't take her advice. Be you, Danny. You're beautiful. Y'all's an angry, despicable, vulgar bitch.
Markers after Trump order. So. Okay.
You're a stock photo. I thought you were Andy Warhol. What the fuck? I thought that was Andy. I thought you were trans Andy.
Criteria, even if you look at sex, there are conditions like testicular feminizing syndrome.
Go ahead, Brian. Challenge me. Yes, I dare you.
So they just they are born immune to testosterone. So
Dr. Ray, please, respectfully. And I'm just going to say this, and I have nothing against the LGBTQ XYZ community.
I'm not weird, Flora. I'm funny. Have you heard of this thing? Some people are funny.
I want to say something to you.
Yeah.
In my mind, sorry. Thank you. In my mind, in my world, either you're born with a cock or a penis. I mean, a cock or a pussy.
cock?
A man or a woman.
Okay.
A cock or a penis?
So
You're born with a cock or a penis? I think you said meant pussy.
Genetic identity.
I acknowledge if you're born with a penis or a pussy.
Okay, so you don't acknowledge. No, no. My question is, you don't acknowledge. You don't recognize the. So you particularly, not like everyone, because obviously people are different. Some people talk about exact.
Wait, I speak for myself.
You particularly.
I speak for myself. I don't speak for anybody else. I don't listen. I feel. Hold on a second. I feel that everybody has a right to live the life they want to live. I have nothing against anybody. If you want to live yourself a pussycat, be my guest. But when it comes to the government, they have a right to enforce whatever rules they feel is best for society.
Well, it's nothing but attacking transvestites.
Mike,
as they're ignoring other more serious issues.
It's not an attack.
They want to ignore global warming and pretend that it's not happening, that we don't have a climate crisis. But
climate crisis.
Transvestites, one of the
transvestite crisis
in all of human history. Let's abuse this tiny group, but let's ignore the real
of men that dress up as women and demand pronoun justice.
Hold on. Mike, how's it attacking transvestites? I'm just curious.
Well, I mean, these are people who don't have a normal gender identity. That's why they are transvestites, all right? And transvestites have been around since all of human existence. But they're a very, very, very tiny minority group, and therefore it's convenient for these bigots to target them, as if transvestites were the real problem.
Wait, hold on. Hold on a second. So Mike, I want to ask you a question respectfully. Do you think my statement that I said people are either born with a penis or born with a pussy is bigoted?
I think it's missing the point. The transvestites are real, okay? And, determining their gender for them is not society's pressing issues, whereas there are real pressing issues like the climate crisis. The climate crisis is getting worse and worse and worse. Yet this administration wants to not only pretend that it's not even a crisis, they want to do everything possible to make it worse. But at the same time, they're redirecting everyone's anger to this tiny, marginalized group that basically causes no problems, almost no problems whatsoever. So, yeah, it's very disingenuous, bigoted, and ignorant.
Hold on. Let me just say this, Cam, and then I'm going to go to Cam and Ray and Double Agent. Let me tell you something, bro. And you're entitled to your opinion, I'm entitled to mine. But when you got transvestites reading books to school kids, I have an issue with that. They shouldn't be bringing their sexuality into class. Dead Cam.
All I was going to say was...
It's not sexuality, it's gender.
I think that when it comes to LGBTQ, I think that, I feel like when people are referring to LGBTQ, I think it would be more behooving to just say trans, because I think that that's what a lot of people are referring to, because I actually don't think that LGBTQ really equates to anything or everything at this point other than transgender people, than transgender, which is fine. But I also think at the same time, with it being, I think where some of the issue sort of, I think with Mike, not with Mike, but with the point of him saying of it being such a small minority of a small group of people, which I do believe is true. I think sometimes the issue can be that maybe that we treat the small minority as the overwhelming majority, and that's not necessarily the case. And if we're going to talk about LGBTQ, then it has to be for all gay, all lesbian, and bisexual people included in that, not specifically just trans people. But that was all I was.
Thank you, Cam. So before we continue, Mike, I pinned an article to the top. Secretary of State Marco Rubio bans passports with X-gender markers after Trump order. But Mike, before you go, Double Agent was trying to jump in, and so was Dr. Ray. Double Agent?
I'm not going to be able to speak because Edmund's recording.
I just got, the things Mike's been saying, it could be a troll. It's just, I don't know. I'm kind of exhausted at this point.
Dr. Ray? It's
you
okay,
got an
Dr.
argument of any kind?
Hold on, Mike.
Okay,
Dr.
so
Ray,
Mike, hold on. Okay, so the problem with defining people, even you're talking about cock and pussies, testicular femininity syndrome aside, genetics aside, about 1.7% of the population on average have both penises and vaginas because they are intersex of different developmental.
Hermaphrodites!
You think about
Oh
when we consider the population of the Earth is 8 billion people, that is still 137
no! Million hermaphrodites!
my math's not that great, but like approximately 137 million people that have mixed genitalia. It's unfortunately just the way genetics works.
They got mixed genitalia?
Shows,
You mean they got a pussy and a penis?
Trans that people identify as a particular gender aside, all that those arguments aside, people who scientifically and medically have genitalia of a certain gender, there is still this like 137 million, which is not a small number. That's a population of many countries. Like the population in New Zealand where I live is 5 million, so it's like, it's 20 times that. There are that many people in the world who have both those genitalia. How does Marco Rubio, his plan, apply to those people?
They won't get passports.
That sucks, right?
Well,
That's
check one of the
agreement
boxes
of it.
and back to normal life. It's a non-issue.
But Mike, no, Mike. Like you like if there are people at the if TSA goes and checks them, and like the TSA feels that like the person has checked off penis first, but the person feels a vagina first on their
Vagina!
they think, hey, you're faking that, and the poor person who like they're born with that, they have no choice for that.
So that's not how it works. That's not how it works. No.
That's not how it works.
Well, it's not how what you described is not true. So that's not how it works.
What's on? No, Mike. This is between me and Marvin. Sorry, Marvin, please continue.
There's nothing to continue. It's what you just said is not true.
Boys have penises and girls have vaginas.
Whether you have a penis and doesn't check it against your passport. So.
Like the point of a passport is
Dr.
the
Ray,
person is the correct passport.
Look, it's false. What you just said is false.
As a person of color who's been checked through security.
He's a person of color that went through a security line?
Right person.
Wait. Have they made you pull your pants down and see if you had a car?
You know what?
People get checked. As a person of color.
They checked your penis?
Again.
As a person of color, they penis checked?
That's on me.
Your package does not get checked at TSA, and then TSA does not check whether or not the package was there or not against your passport.
You're telling me no one feels it. No one feels. I've been like they pack you down.
Okay,
Obviously, if you have what?
Have you never been packed down? Have you never been packed down?
Maybe you're having a hard time understanding me. Maybe I'm not being clear. But you're
Have you never been packed down, Marvin?
I have, but it's
You get packed down.
multiple times.
but they don't. I have, but they don't necessarily do it for that. It's not to see if you have a penis.
But how do you know what?
I am a man of color who has been through security gates and they touched my penis!
They're looking for specifically any type of indication of wire, of metal, of contraband, right? So they're not looking for your package.
Mm-hmm.
But if a hermaphrodite is checked and the person is clicked off female and they tap them down and they find like a vestigial penis.
Penis?
No, again.
That we don't need to address.
Hold on a second. What happens if somebody gets a passport and they check off female, and after they get their passport, they decide to become trans? It's just that overwhelming urge.
I'm talking about scientific.
I'm talking about real life, bro. So what happens if they switch after they get their passport? You think the TSA is going to start feeling around for somebody's cock? Come on, bro. That's bullshit. But Marvin, I was thinking about it before. We got 4 new hostages.
How do you ask a question and not let me ask?
Okay, because I can't listen to you yelling.
Yeah, that's kidding. Jeez.
So Marvin, 4 hostages were released today, and I honestly, wholeheartedly believe that none of this deal happens if Trump wasn't president. What do you?
Look, I kind of agree. I mean, I think that Trump came out with a history of being a DICK and a history of being a hardliner, and I think that's kind of scary. So having that as the backdrop, and maybe, you know, like usually what happens is there is backdoor communication, right? There is conversations occurring and saying, look, here's what we're gonna do if you don't fucking do this.
So my understanding is that the murderers of the Fogel family are now being released in this deal. So once again, the Palestinian terrorists got what they wanted out of Israel by kidnapping.
They did.
So I think this is a big mistake.
I think so too.
It just guarantees more terrorism and kidnapping unless there's some kind of change in the equation.
Well, let's see what happens, you know, because this is just a ceasefire, right? Let's see. Will Israel have
it's going to be very hard to return to the war without a casus belli. An additional thing, there's going to be enormous pressure on Israel not to return to the war and to basically allow Hamas to survive, whatever the consequences. Obviously, we see the international community doesn't care about what happens to Israelis. We see that clearly in so many ways, whether it's the UN, whether it's the Red Cross, whether it's the BBC. Obviously, Al Jazeera is on the side of the terrorists. So, yeah, I mean, you know, it's nice to get these people back, but the cost is way, way, way too high and shouldn't have been done.
Really?
Well, I don't think they're going to honor their entire ceasefire anyway. I don't think they're not going to see it through to the end. Hamas, but and they're also not honoring the deal they made, Marvin. The deal was that they would release civilians first, women civilians first, then Army IDF soldiers. But they released 4 IDF soldiers, and I don't care who they get out as long as they get them out. But I don't see this deal going to the end.
But people are talking about peace. They're talking about 2-state solution. It's completely delusional. This is a victory for the Palestinians so far. They don't care about how many people died. They don't care that their houses were destroyed. They are proceeding on reducing Israel's deterrent capability and making Israel an unsuitable place to live by destroying the rule of law.
Jay, do you think
it's a big mistake.
You think Trump will send in troops, Jay?
That's a great question. I think the possibilities there. I don't think he'd have an issue sending in troops.
Israel would never agree to that.
Hold on a second, bro.
Why would Israel never agree to that?
Because it's against their doctrine. Israel has a doctrine of never allowing foreign troops to fight for Israel. It's part of the core of the IDF's doctrine.
I don't think Donald Trump gives a shit of what Israel agrees to them not, to be honest with you. Do I think it's a possibility? Marvin, I'd say it's probably 50-50. It depends. What's the red line in the sand for Trump to send troops in?
I mean, they wouldn't be able to go there without Israel agreeing.
Well, put it this way. Israel's kind of gone a little bit against its doctrine by, you know, allowing the supply chain to be all from America, right? So there's a slight little caveat there about
which they're dealing with. They're now opened a new munitions plant to make bombs and other things.
Sure.
So that's something
dealing
that
with and having are two different things, right?
My feeling is that there is significant moves under the surface in Israel right now, that the majority of Israelis are not content with the status quo, and that sooner or later this Netanyahu government is going to be gone, and there's going to be a much more hawkish government that's going to be much more decisive. That's my feeling on it.
Well, I don't think they were decisive because Biden was indecisive. Matt, you were trying to jump in?
I was trying to figure out your question, or whoever asked the question about what is Trump's red line? Like that was raised.
Yeah, that was my question. Like, what?
Yeah, JB, what do you think it is? I say if we had more hostages and they were killed, that would be the red line. I don't know how many are left. That's why I said that.
I mean, it just doesn't make sense to make everything centered around these hostages. That just plays right into the terrorist strategy.
You gotta start somewhere. I don't know where you're starting.
Well, I mean, it used to be the policy, and still a policy of the U.S. not to negotiate with terrorists.
Well,
Now,
hold
they
on
break
a second,
that in some cases, but
Michael, hold on 1 second, because I want to finish what I was saying to Marvin about troops. I also think what happens in Syria plays into it. Because, we don't hear about Syria anymore. Other countries, I have a problem with the Biden administration that they were giving so much power to Qatar, who supports these terrorist organizations. They shouldn't have even been at that negotiation table, just my opinion. But I think Syria plays into this, Marvin. I don't think he really gives a shit. I don't know what his relationship with Netanyahu is, but I don't think Trump cares either way. Do I see American troops? It's possible. What do you think, Marvin? You think he sends in troops?
Again, I think it's if it was put it this way, I think if there was ever the time, it would be now. If there was ever the situation, we didn't have those Muse and aircraft carriers off the coast there for no reason. And so I think Trump understands that. I think that although Hezbollah and Syria have completely really, calmed down to almost nothing. It's a different strategy, right?
I'd say, Marvin, I think, don't even meet up. I just want
I think that's
to
how it's going to work.
Yeah.
In my opinion, in the next 4 years, there's going to be regime change in Iran.
But what does it say about Israel if Israel can't...
Abraham, Lou! Let's talk AI, Lou. Big things are happening.
Israel can't speak Hamas on its own.
Which is a disaster.
You gotta see this Elon Musk clip. There's so much AI shit that I have absolutely no idea about.
They have to outsource their security.
But I am using the YouTube AI, and it's pretty dope.
Everything that they say about Israel depending on the U.S., which is a lie.
So I've been creating AI videos on YouTube using their, what is it, Gemini? I guess it's called Gemini. I don't know. Isn't that the YouTube product?
Looking for a man to shift gear?
Gemini is the family of models that's integrated with all Google stuff. So yeah, it might be on YouTube too. Yeah.
Okay, so give me a prompt, and I will create a new one because I don't think I have any on this YouTube account.
Prompts for what?
To create an image.
You're using that like Imagine 3, I think. Google's no, I don't know. I don't flip with the art generation stuff. That's not my area. I can get a prompt for you, but you know what I want to try actually? Do you have a live stream going right now?
Yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna send an AI agent to the stream and see if it shows up as a viewer or not.
Nice.
Where is it? Where's the stream on YouTube?
Subscribe now, you.
I don't think it's probably not gonna let it view YouTube links because it didn't the other day. Let's try.
Fuck.
Was that a fart?
No. Maybe I have some sinuses going on. Or it was maybe my phone. I was moving my phone. If I would have farted, I would own up to my farts. I always own up to my farts.
Alright, I'm gonna put it in my Notion page too, just in case. What if it would register as a viewer? Then I
Okay, unfortunately, I had to end the Roger Mayhem movie part 2. We're going to call this Viking Meditation. Oh, nice. The Roger Mayhem movie.
Just in the same way as you might be walking or talking, but you will also notice that when you are not thinking about breathing, your breathing goes on just the same. So the curious thing about breath is that it can be looked at both as a voluntary and an involuntary action. You would feel on the one hand, I am doing it, and on the other hand, it is happening to me. And that is why breathing is the most important part of meditation, as it is going to show you, as you become aware of your breath, that the hard and fast division limit between what we do on the one hand and what happens with us on the other is not defined. So that as you watch your breathing, you will become aware that both the voluntary and the involuntary aspects of your experience are one happening. Now that may at first seem a little scary, because you may think, well, am I just the puppet of a happening mere casket of something that's no longer completely beyond my control? Or on the other hand, am I really doing everything that's going on?
Success is one of the toughest behavioral problems displayed in a country's kings, prime ministers, and presidents for
responsible position. The truth of the matter, as you will see, is that both things are true. You can see that everything is happening to you, and on the other hand, you're doing
over 1,500 reviews on Google. This is the second time with the Illinois Hammer Live. I really love this film because you really talk.
What seems to me to be lacking in our Western religious observances is some sort of social ritual which gives an opportunity for spiritual experience. That is to say, for a transformation of the individual consciousness, so that in one way or another, the individual is able to realize his oneness with the eternal energy behind this universe, which some people call God, and others prefer not to name or to conceive. So what I'm proposing instead of the ordinary kind of religious service is, as I said, a contemplative ritual. And the idea is not to have everybody shaken up and whooping around, but to bring about a state of profound peace. So therefore I should say something in a preliminary way about meditation, or contemplation, as I prefer to call it. Meditation is the act of allowing one's thoughts to cease, stopping the agitation of thinking. Thinking is talking to yourself. Now, if I talk all the time, I don't hear what anyone else has to say. Consequently, if I talk to myself all the time, I don't have anything to think about except thoughts. There is no interval between thoughts during which I can come into touch with reality, that is to say, the world which thoughts represent, as words represent events, or as money represents wealth. And so if I'm never silent in my head, I'm living in a world of total abstraction, divorced from reality altogether. Reality itself is neither mental nor spiritual, nor any concept that we can have of it. Reality is simply Now, therefore, to meditate, you might think that we attempt to suppress thought. We do not do that. Because you cannot meditate. Let me put that in a more emphatic way. You cannot meditate. You, your ego image, can only chatter. Because when it stops, it isn't there. When you are not thinking, you have no ego, because your ego is a concept. The thinker behind the thoughts, the feeler behind the feelings, and the thinker behind the thoughts is only a thought, an idea of some reference point to which all our experiences happen. And that, of course, cuts us off from what we experience. It makes a great gap or gulf between the knower and the known. And that creates the spirit of alienation to the world from which we suffer. Conflict, hate, domineering spirit arise from that basic division. So when you come to an end of thought, and you don't know how to meditate, you don't know what to do with your mind, nobody can tell you, then thinking comes to an end naturally. You can begin meditation. Or meditation happens, and that is, happening is the watching simply of what is. Of all the information to you conveyed by your exterior and interior senses, and of the thoughts that keep chattering on about it all. You don't try to stop those thoughts, you just let them run as if they were birds twittering outside. And they will eventually get tired of themselves and stop. But don't worry about whether they do or don't. Just simply watch whatever it is that you are feeling, thinking, experiencing, and that's it. Watch it. And don't go out of your way to put any names on it. That's really what meditation is. And you see, you're not expecting any result. You are in meditation in an eternal present. You're not doing it to improve yourself. You found you can't do that. Your ego can't possibly improve you because it's what's in need of improvement. Your ego can't let go of itself because it is a complex called clinging to oneself. That's what it is by definition. So it's just something that evaporates when it is understood that it is unable to achieve a transformation of consciousness, mystical experience, the vivid sense of union of individual and cosmos. So, one of the easiest ways to enter into the state of meditation is therefore listening to what is, using the sense of sound. Some sort of social ritual which gives an opportunity for spiritual experience. That is to say, for a transformation of the individual consciousness, so that in one way or another, the individual is able to realize his oneness with the eternal energy behind this universe, which some people call God, and others prefer not to name or to conceive. So what I'm proposing instead of the ordinary kind of religious service is, as I said, a contemplative ritual. And the idea is not to have everybody shaken up and whooping around, but to bring about a state of profound peace. So therefore I should say something in a preliminary way about meditation, or contemplation, as I prefer to call it. Meditation is the act of allowing one's thoughts to cease, is stopping the agitation of thinking. Thinking is talking to yourself. Now, if I talk all the time, I don't hear what anyone else has to say. Consequently, if I talk to myself all the time, I don't have anything to think about except thoughts. There is no interval between thoughts during which I can come into touch with reality, that is to say, the world which thoughts represent, as words represent events or as money represents wealth. And so if I'm never silent in my head, I'm living in a world of total abstraction, divorced from reality altogether. Reality itself is neither mental nor spiritual, nor any concept that we can have of it. Reality is simply now, therefore, to meditate, you might think that we attempt to suppress thought. We do not do that. Because you cannot meditate. Let me put that in a more emphatic way. You cannot meditate. You, your ego image, can only chatter. Because when it stops, it isn't there. When you are not thinking, you have no ego, because your ego is a concept. The thinker behind the thoughts, the feeler behind the feelings, and the thinker behind the thoughts is only a thought, an idea of some reference point to which all our experiences happen. And that, of course, cuts us off from what we experience. It makes a great gap or gulf between the knower and the known. And that creates the spirit of alienation to the world from which we suffer. Conflict, hate, domineering spirit arise from that basic division. So when you come to an end of thought, and you don't know how to meditate, you don't know what to do with your mind, nobody can tell you, then thinking comes to an end naturally. You can begin meditation. Or meditation happens, and that is, happening is the watching simply of what is. Of all the information to you conveyed by your exterior and interior senses, and of the thoughts that keep chattering on about it all. You don't try to stop those thoughts, you just let them run as if they were birds twittering outside. And they will eventually get tired of themselves and stop. But don't worry about whether they do or don't. Just simply watch whatever it is that you are feeling, thinking, experiencing, and that's it. Watch it. And don't go out of your way to put any names on it. That's really what meditation is. And you see, you're not expecting any result. You are in meditation in an eternal present. You're not doing it to improve yourself. You found you can't do that. Your ego can't possibly improve you because it's what's in need of improvement. Your ego can't let go of itself because it is a complex called clinging to oneself. That's what it is by definition. So it's just something that evaporates when it is understood that it is unable to achieve a transformation of consciousness, mystical experience, the vivid sense of union of individual and cosmos. So, one of the easiest ways to enter into the state of meditation is therefore listening to what is, using the sense of sound. When you listen to sound, you listen to it, just the random sounds, that are going on in the room, in the street, as if you were listening to music, without trying to identify its source, name it, or put any label on it at all. Just enjoy whatever sound may be going on. Just listen.